And she's toasting a pumpkin latte.
So obviously we've known for a while now that the Christmas special is going to be called Joy to the World. We've known that it's going to be written by Stephen Moffat instead of Russell T Davies, which is interesting because normally the Christmas specials are written by the showrunner. So that'll be exciting to see, especially with Stephen Moffat's season 1 episode, Boom, being so good. I'm especially excited to see what he does with this one. And just because for me personally, I think Moffat is a lot better at Christmas specials than RTD was. So that has me a little bit more excited for what this Christmas special is going to be like, especially after the Church on Ruby Road not being the best Christmas special ever. I'm hoping this one's a lot better. But we also obviously knew that Nicola Coughlan is how I believe you say her name. We know that she's going to be in this Christmas special. We knew that already as sort of, I assume, a one-off companion for this episode, which is a very common thing Russell did for Christmas specials as well. But we now know her character is going to be called Joy, which is obviously related to the title Joy to the World. And although she couldn't make it to Comic-Con herself, she did record a little video message that played before the preview that we got, where she basically introduces the character and announces that she's called Joy. And one more thing I should probably say before we get on to the preview clip itself is we've also known, I don't know if it was mentioned in the panel at all, but we've also known for a little while now that the director of this episode is, I believe his name was Alex Pillay, and he's directed like episodes of Bridgerton and stuff like that in the past. I don't believe he's directed any Doctor Who in the past. This is his first Doctor Who episode, but that's just one more detail we already knew about it before any of this other stuff was announced. So with all that being said, I think we should probably just get into the preview clip. I'll probably just kind of go through it a little bit on here and mention some stuff that's kind of shows up in it and potentially what this could be about, but honestly I've not got many ideas of what the story of this episode could be about. But this preview clip is a lot longer than I would have expected us to get. A lot of the preview clips we got for season 1 and stuff like that, and for the 60th anniversary specials were only very short, like minute-long clips. This one seems to be basically, I assume, the whole cold open of the episode. It's about 4 minutes long altogether, although that is including the brief introduction from Nicola Coughlan. But anyway, with that being said, let's get into the preview clip itself. Okay, so we open on the Queen's Hotel in Manchester in 1940 during World War II. I'm not personally sure if this is a real hotel in Manchester or not, but I love the shot of this in the outside of it all war-torn and the kind of explosions and the fog. I think it looks like a great visual effects shot. We see this character who I believe is called Basil. I'm not sure if he's going to be showing up outside of this one moment in the episode, but I remember when there was filming for this, a lot of people were for some reason thinking this was Patrick Stewart. It's very clearly not. I'm not sure if we know officially who the actor is or not yet, but it's definitely not Patrick Stewart. But yeah, I believe he's called Basil, and he might just be in this one kind of moment setting up the episode, but it's possible he'll show up again throughout, and these different locations might show up again throughout the episode. I'm not entirely sure.
And she's toasting a pumpkin latte.
So this is kind of the main theme of this scene, I guess you could call it. The Doctor basically keeps coming through these different doors, asking if anybody's ordered a ham and cheese toastie and a pumpkin latte. I'm not sure exactly how that's going to relate to the episode either, but that seems to be the common theme of this cold open or wherever this clip from the episode comes from. So he seems to be trying to deliver this cafe order, I guess, to somebody in particular.
No?
We also get, obviously, the 15th Doctor's theme throughout this scene as well, which I think is quite funny because it's quite an action-packed kind of musical score for something so not action-packed as delivering a ham and cheese toastie and a pumpkin latte.
It's locked.
And then Basil goes to the door and tries to unlock it, and the door's locked, which seems to also be a bit of a common theme for this scene. It seems to be drawing attention to these doors in hotel rooms that are always locked, which for me is very reminiscent of something Moffat has always done, where he'll take something incredibly mundane as obviously like statues with the Weeping Angels, and in this case locked hotel doors, and kind of try and make them, I guess, kind of creepy or, you know, have something deeper behind them, which I think is going to be probably quite relevant to the episode itself, because this does happen again later on in the hotel room with Joy. So we then move on to the Orient Express in Italy in 1962. Obviously, the Orient Express we've seen somewhat before with the Mummy on the Orient Express. Obviously, that was a different kind of replica version in space, but this seems to be the actual Orient Express itself this time. We see somebody reading The Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie, which obviously is a reference to the fact that they're obviously on the Orient Express, but also a nice little reference to Agatha Christie, who's obviously shown up in Unicorn and the Wasp before.
Ham and cheese toasty and a pumpkin latte.
Who are you?
Wrong room. Never mind.
And of course, we once again get the Doctor coming in with the order of a ham and cheese toasty and a pumpkin latte. Once again, I guess, trying to find the right person who ordered it. We then get to the base camp at Everest in 1953, which I think was the first kind of trip up Everest, or the first team that made it to the top of Everest or something like that. I'm not entirely sure on that, but I'm assuming that's why this particular date at Everest is relevant.
Ham and cheese toasty and a pumpkin latte.
And we obviously get the Doctor once again coming in, this time to the tent at the base camp with a ham and cheese toasty and a pumpkin latte. And then we finally get to the last location at Sandringham Hotel in London, 2024. I assume on Christmas Day, maybe Christmas Eve, sometime around Christmas, which I assume is where most of this episode is probably going to take place. And we then get a shot that we'd seen during filming of Nicola Coughlan getting out of the taxi. Obviously, we now know her character is called Joy.
Oh, it's just that door, isn't it? There's always a door like that in a hotel room, a funny locked one.
So we obviously get another locked door in a hotel, and I believe Joy mentions there's always a door like that in a hotel, which further lends to the idea, in my opinion at least, that this is going to be quite important to the episode and one of those really mundane things that Moffat likes to make kind of extraordinary or linked to the sci-fi kind of nature of the episode.
Oh. Hello.
We then get a moment of Joy seemingly talking to a fly in her hotel room. I'm not sure if this fly is going to be relevant to the episode and brought up again later on. It'd be weird to kind of mention it and it not be, but it's also probably possible that this is just to show kind of how lonely this character is, especially with her being in a hotel room by herself on Christmas or around Christmas. So it could just be that, or it could be relevant to the episode later on.
What?
We then get a Silurian entering the room, which we've not seen a Silurian in a while, so it's nice to see. I've seen a lot of people judging the prosthetics of this Silurian for some reason. A lot of them saying that for some reason the Silurians look worse, even with this big Disney budget, which I personally don't agree with. I wouldn't say they look better than when we've seen them before or anything, but I'd say they look about the same as the Silurians we've seen before in the modern era of the show, so I don't really know what people's criticism is there, and I've not seen someone say specifically what it is they think about the prosthetics look bad, so I'm not sure what that's about. But if you have any ideas, let me know in the comments down below, because I think they look fine, to be honest. Obviously they could have maybe upgraded the design a little bit if they wanted to, but I think it looks perfectly fine as it is. And for me personally, when I saw this actor playing this Silurian, he looked very familiar to me, and I couldn't quite figure out who it was, because obviously he's got all the prosthetics on top of him. But somebody has recently pointed out, I think I first saw it in a Who Culture video about this scene, that this is the actor who plays Anderson in Stephen Moffat and Mark Gatiss' show Sherlock, or their version of Sherlock. And as soon as somebody pointed that out to me, I could tell that's who I was kind of recognizing this as, basically. So yeah, this is definitely, at least in my opinion, Jonathan Arris, who plays Anderson in Sherlock. That's who I'm pretty sure this actor is underneath this Silurian makeup. But like I said, it's difficult to tell for sure because of the makeup, but I'm fairly certain that's who it is.
The starseed will bloom, and the flesh will rise.
And he says, the starseed will bloom and the flesh will rise. I don't know exactly what that's about. I don't know how relevant it's going to be to the episode. I also don't know for sure if the Silurians or this Silurian is actually going to be a major character in the episode, or if it's just kind of a one-off gag, but I assume he's going to be relevant to the episode, and maybe further Silurians will also show up in the episode. But he is also wearing a manager uniform, like a hotel manager uniform, so I assume he's going to have something to do with this hotel, or maybe a different like Silurian hotel that's connected in some way by these doors. I'm not entirely sure.
Ham and cheese toasty and a pumpkin latte.
And then, of course, we have the Doctor entering through that door again, the locked door, saying ham and cheese toasty and a pumpkin latte. And it seems like he's probably actually arrived where he's meant to be. Maybe this order's meant to be for Joy or something like that. But at the very least, he still seems happy to see Joy, or, you know, maybe he just knows that she's going to be companion material or something like that. And then we get the to be continued. I assume in the episode itself that moment is going to be where the titles kick in, but I could be wrong, because like I said, I assume this is like the whole pre-title sequence of the episode, but let me know what you think about that in the comments down below. But yeah, that is the whole preview clip of Joy to the World that we got at San Diego Comic-Con during the Hall H panel. Like I said, I'm not entirely sure any indication of what this gives of the actual story itself. I really don't know what the actual story is going to be. I do think those doors, those locked hotel room doors, are going to be relevant, and there's probably going to be a lot of traveling between them throughout the episode. At least that's just my guess. We might be going back to those different locations we saw throughout that cold open, and obviously I think the Silurians are probably going to be relevant to this episode. I doubt it's just that one Silurian, but that's also possible. But yeah, let me know what you think this episode is going to be about in the comments down below, and let me know what you think about that preview clip. Did you enjoy it? Does it have you excited for the episode? And if you want to know my thoughts on every episode of Doctor Who Season 1 and my rankings of each episode, you can watch the video that's on screen now.